forward to the opportunity to be in that venue. Went to the stadium, and really excited about the number of tickets that's been pre-sold already. And we're expecting a big opening. So that was an absolute whirlwind, and a lot of things being thrown at you really fast. So, but just talk to some teams that have been in this exact bowl, look at their schedule and got some ideas from that. But you also kind of learn about the biggest thing is this a bowl that's this late is how do you manage the time, and so these last 2 weeks have been huge for us to be able to kind of learn from some things the way I liked it done in the past with guys I worked with and at other places and things maybe I didn't like as well, But to me, the biggest thing is making sure that your players stay sharp, physically from a conditioning perspective. And so we did a lot with our guys the last 2 weeks and didn't really do a lot of football necessarily things, but only a couple of days of that. But with our strength staff, we had 5 individual workouts with those guys and just allowing them to be able to stay on top of their game physically as well as get the chance to kind of get mentally and physically refreshed from all the normal, demands of a season, watching film and having practice every, most days. And so I feel like it's been a nice break for them in that regard. So yeah, you learn and you talk to other coaches, and especially ones that have been in this exact bowl or a bowl later, like in early January. So it's been good to be able to resource those guys.
Peace, then Matt.
You've had a little bit of time to look at Tennessee film now. What about them that stands out at watching some of that?
Well, I've only watched a little. We were up till wee hours of the morning last night. Got in very late from out west recruiting. I've been recruiting really hard. So, but at the same time, very athletic is what I see. Offensive line I think is very talented. They're a young team, but a very talented team. The receiver core is the strength of their offense in terms of just raw talent. Very impressed with them. And then the good solid running backs. Then they got numerous running backs that they're able to be effective, and their D-line I think is very aggressive and physical and athletic, and they got some good size at backer, and they all run well. So I mean, it's a typical SEC team, very impressive physically, a lot of athleticism. The thing about them, you kind of look and they're really playing their best football. They won their last 5 games, have kind of stopped turning the ball over, which we all know how big that is, and once they started doing that, it really allowed them to be successful. And so Coach Pruitt's done a really good job with this team. And I know they entered the season with a lot of high expectations, and maybe had a couple early on that they didn't go the way they wanted to, but they learned from those, and they're playing really well right now. So it's a really good football team we're about to play.
Tom.
Coach, how much do you have to try to balance the physicality of practices in regards to? There's obviously 6-7 weeks between. How much hitting do you want to try to do when you can?
Well, I would say at this point, to me, the goal of the first 3 practices are designed to have a lot of technique and fundamental work, kind of approach them the way we'd approach a bye week in both structure and in both physicality. So more physical with our younger guys and really trying to get them a lot of good reps. Adding some extra periods today for a lot of our freshmen and sophomores to be able to don't get a lot of the reps with the 1s and 2s to allow them to be able to go. Not a lot of full live goes, but we call it thud tempo. So still physical in line scrimmage, thudding them up in the box and having good technique on the perimeter. So a lot of tackling drills for our guys, a lot of good physical blocking from a drill work perspective. So yeah, you're trying to be physical, but you're right, it's a long process you go through, and then that's where you don't like to start too soon on your opponent. It gets a little stale if you do. So we're going to be focusing at this point trying to just get better, just get better as a football team, and the things that we have to get better at, from a fundamental technique perspective moving forward.
Kevin, was that?
Do you have a practice site set in Jacksonville yet, or is that to be determined?
It'll be. We think we pretty soon here. Probably. I think there's a local high school that we're going to be at that has a really nice surface. Our guys went down and checked a couple of them out while we were there. Well, I did not physically go myself, but it'll be trying to get a nice surface. And I looked at I walked through the Jaguars field, and it's in really good shape. They'll have only one more game, which is against the Colts, between now and when we play. So, barring a rain game, it should be in really good shape. So we're trying to get. We usually play on field turf up here. Most of our games are on turf, so to be able to get on natural grass. We did play a couple of games this year on that, so we'd like to be able to get on that as much as we can.
Zach and Caleb.
At one level, do you almost look with the younger guys at these practices almost like a spring for them in a certain way where do you communicate to them in terms of saying, listen, we're really going to be running the rule over how much you've progressed, and this is your opportunity to really turn the page. You don't want them overlooking the ball, but really turn the page where the opportunity is.
Well, there's no question. And that's even today, and we talked to our team and the team meeting about kind of our goals here for what we're trying to accomplish and early on. and basically, want these young guys to get lots of reps. We do the walkthroughs today. We're geared around our young guys. All the guys involved in those walkthroughs were our younger players, so they can learn the system on both sides of the football. So I just think you have to do that. That's one of the big benefits of being in the bowl game is those extra practices. Older guys will benefit as well, but we're a very young football team, so we got a lot of young guys that are in the 1s and 2s, but then we're really young when we start getting to the guys that go to their 3s and 4s. So yes, we want to get a lot of work in, get those guys a ton of reps, and treat it as like you basically have 2 spring balls now, which is a double benefit.
Caleb and Stefan.
You talked about it trying to not be stale with your preparations. Is that just sprinkling in Tennessee's work, or trying to hold off to the back end of?
Yeah, we will hold
practicing?
off. We're not going to do any Tennessee work here early on. And like I said, it's just even our special teams. It's all special teams drills. We do some things, full group with punt, but we didn't do anything else. It's all drill work, and that's kind of the focus, And all the team sessions and Skelly are all offense versus defense. We're not going against scout teams right now. So at this point, we're not really doing anything specific to Tennessee yet.
Stefan and Taylor.
Saw you stop by the intramural fields before this. I mean, thoughts on some of the game you saw out there?
I did. I tell you, that was fun. I just appreciate all those guys and girls that were out there and cheering them on, and they were pretty rambunctious, that's for sure. So we had a good time together. But those are our student body, and I just want to support them. They support us. They come watch us play and cheer us on. So I wanted to cover some good plays we made out there. Got a couple guys who might need to make some offers too.
Taylor and Cam.
Coach, I know you can't talk about 2020 guys specifically, but I know there are a couple or a few that will be available to be practicing in bowl preparation stuff. But is that more position-wise that you work with them, or is it just kind of showing them what practice is going to be like at Indiana?
Yeah, it's hard to get too much. I know there's a lot of variables that have to be in place in order for those, if they're in their mid-year, you're talking about the mid-year enrollees that would come.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've had a couple in the past that have been able to do that. You basically have to have it to where you're completely finished at your school and graduated and everything's cleared there, and then you're enrolled here. And so and we can't do it off-site, but all the bowl practice we have on campus, those guys can be a part of. And in the past, it's usually you don't even really probably give them full pads. It's just more just being around, getting flow, start learning terminology, and just get familiar with what we do. So we'll try and get a couple of those as we can, but it's not really a huge priority.
Cam and Peegs.
I guess, Tom, kind of like a two-part thing. First, you mentioned when you were doing the press conference with Fred, I think a week ago, that you want to give the guys off time for Christmas. You thought that was really important. I guess, first off, why do you think that? And two, as a coach, when you're kind of letting your guys go for that period of time, when you're not directly in control of their actions, how do you try and balance and make sure that they're doing the right things in terms of still watching film, still taking care of their bodies, things like that?
Well, I think first of all, the reason why I think it's important is because if you look at our schedule, you look at the calendar and how long these guys have been going, it can get very, very, difficult mentally and physically. And so I think just the chance to be home for Christmas is a big deal. Our guys they're pretty fired up that we got the chance to go home. So I just think that's important. Family's important to me, and I want our guys to be theirs for Christmas. And so we set the schedule up. We play late enough, and we got plenty of time to get our work in. And that's what my whole philosophy is. When we're here, we got our work in. We got to be locked in. Let's be effective at that and maximize our time. But when we're away, let's make sure we get refreshed. And so, but yeah, you mentioned about being concerned. Anytime they're not with me, spring break is it's hard to enjoy spring break, for me, because I'm always concerned about what might happen. So it's the same thing here. The guys go home, but I love our team, and I trust our guys. But we talk about it, even just to travel. Talk about not texting when you're driving, when you're going home. Just being careful, wearing your seatbelts, and all the things that you try to do as a parent would do. It's no different. But when they're home, they represent us, everything that they do, and we got a great opportunity ahead of us. So they got to continue to eat right, get proper sleep, take care of their bodies when they're away for a few days, so that we're going to give them off to meet before we come back to the bowl site. So it's being a pro. We talk about it all the time, and that's a lot of things involved in that phrase. But these guys are a pretty driven group. They're very focused. They've set out their goals for this year, and this is one of them, which to go win our bowl game. So I can see it. I can tell by looking in our eyes today. It's a very focused group.
Peegs.
Has there been any real early impact from some of the kids that you're recruiting from this? And do you plan to go to the Colts game to get a feel for the atmosphere?
We actually are going to go to the Colts game, and that'll be a neat experience for us, and to support those guys. We got a chance to meet several of their coaches, and coming to players, different coaches have coached those guys over the years, different places, and got to know Chris Ballard. A lot of respect for him, the job he does there, and the kind of the man that he is. So I want to support those guys, yes, and I just think that there's no question it helps in recruiting. A lot of our guys were we're pretty locked in. You know, as we recruited them over the summer. A lot of those guys came for spring visits, and that was when their officials were for during the springtime, and a few more came this past weekend. We got a very few. Small number this weekend, but there's no doubt I've been out the last 2 weeks, and just the momentum from the bucket win and the season and all that we've been able to accomplish this year is huge. And it really, you got guys you were trying to really reel in at the end, you know, and try to convince them to come here, and you got a really strong, you know, set of evidence of what we're doing, you know, and instead of saying this is what we're wanting to do or hoping to do in the future, this is what we just did. And it's a powerful thing that they see it, you know, and the chance about talking about going and playing in the Gator Bowl and being in a January Bowl and being in Florida and just, you know, what that does for us in recruiting. So yeah, those are all things that are, we're trying to take full advantage of all that. And the families that you talk to, it's pretty, it's fun to sit in homes and go to schools and talk about what we're doing because they see it and they watched us and it's been very, very positively received.
Pete, last one.
Tom, the ability, maybe the temptation to maybe get innovative offensively and defensively, doing things maybe you haven't done, is that a temptation? And if so, is it almost a fun thing? Like, let's come up with interesting things you do offensively?
Well, time creates that, you know, and sometimes you got to be careful, you know. But I think that's you need to do a little bit of that. You know, I think it also helps with your guys, you know, for them to be able to do some new things. But at the same time, we're such a young team overall that we still. I want us to be very, very simple in regards to the fact that we're going to play really fast. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to be in that venue. I went to the stadium, and really excited about the number of tickets that's been pre-sold already, and we're expecting a big